What if all of the grocery stores closed tomorrow? How are you going to feed your family?
Now, we know that you are great preppers, and so you have stored beans and rice, but we're going to talk about the missing element. We're going to show you how to go from seed to harvest in a crisis garden in the matter of a few short days.
And we have something new for all of you preppers out there that will help you every step of the way in this journey.
Hey, Provident Preppers, I'm Kylene, and this is my beautiful daughter-in-law, Amanda. And together, we have been busy doing great and important things to bless your life. So on our prepping channel, we talk a lot about food storage and all the things that we need to do to prepare. But one of the elements that we haven't done a whole lot on is gardening. And so Amanda and I, who are very passionate about gardening, decided to create this sister channel, the Provident Gardener, to help you along the way.
On the Provident Gardener, it's brand new, but we already have so many resources up for you to use. And we're adding more all the time. Don't expect perfect gardening because we're very real.
We're not gonna get it.
We're showing you all the different ways we do things and the mistakes we've made along the way and how we've learned. Because these skills are so important to growing your own food and feeding your family. But I think they're also important skills to have as a prepper.
Absolutely, because it's self-reliance. It's a way that we don't have to depend on outside systems to make sure that our family gets fed. For those of you that are well acquainted with me, you know that I take more of a permaculture kind of approach, and I do very organic gardening and kind of this big scale garden. I have 1.5 acres and it's kind of crazy. Well, Amanda is very different.
I live just in your everyday residential neighborhood. I have a decent sized backyard, but it's not that big. And so we're growing with what we have and finding ways to make our space the most efficient and effective for growing our own food.
And it is beautiful. So there you go. We encourage you to go to the Provident Gardener and subscribe and follow us and see what great things we can grow together. But back to today's video, because today we are talking about an emergency garden, something that could take you from seed to harvest in crisis mode as quickly as humanly possible. There's a reality check here, right? If you are in crisis, you need food right away, and you really do not have time to wait. But the good news is you can actually produce some fresh food in as little as 3 days.
3 days?
3 days.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll tell you in just a minute. I know it's a little bit unbelievable. There is a caveat with all this, and that is that we are assuming you are in your growing season. If you are not, you are going to have to pivot a little bit and either grow food inside or use some season extension methods to be able to grow food. But for this video, we're just assuming that you are in your growing season and this is possible.
It is still possible outside of your growing season.
Harder.
Yes.
much harder. And that's a whole nother video, and we will conquer that actually on the Provident Gardener.
Coming up in the next few months.
Yeah, when it gets colder and we're trying to garden outside. But today we're going to talk about what I feel is the #1 thing that you need to work on now, and that's building your soil. And that doesn't mean you have to garden right now. Hydroponics, absolutely a thing, absolutely something great. I'm sure we'll be creating some videos on that. But for now, let's talk about how we can build soil right now, even if you're not gardening.
Is building soil something we can do year round?
Absolutely. When we're doing all this soil building, water is amazing. And so you want the snow and the rain and all of that on there. So let's talk about the first method, and that is sheet mulching. For this method, all you have to do is pick a spot in your yard that you're going to say, if something bad happens, this is where I'm going to garden. You're going to take all those Amazon boxes that you keep getting, and you're just going to put them on the ground. And what that does is that helps a lot of weeds and grass and stuff not to grow up through it. And then you're going to be putting all of your grass clippings, except for if you're using chemicals, you want to skip a mowing or two after you apply chemicals. But you're just going to spread all of your grass clippings, all of your leaves, anything organic, you're going to put there. and you're just gonna let nature do her thing and start to break it down. Within a year, you could have soil that you could garden in. And with that sheet mulching, you can also put any of your other clippings on there. I wouldn't put weed seeds in it, but you could definitely put weeds in it. You could also put wood chips in it, and they will end up breaking down. So just anything organic, put it in that pile and forget it.
Another option is just a simple compost pile. I kind of view it as the sheet mulching, but you're kicking it up a few notches. So once again, you might want to just find a corner of your yard. I've seen people use like pallets to like block off an area to use.
To give some boundary, or cages, like a little piece of fencing, wire fencing.
And that's just to kind of keep it all in one spot easily. But you're going to add again those organic things, the organic matter and kitchen scraps. You'll bury those kitchen scraps right in the middle of that compost pile. How often with a compost pile do you need to kind of make sure you're stirring it up so it doesn't get too hot?
Some people think that you have to stir that compost pile, but we just did an interview about humanure. I know. But you should go to that video and check it out, because he talks about he never turns it, right? He's putting all of these unmentionables in it. And by using this method, within 2 years, it's all broken down. So you are adding one for this year, and then you have one that's just setting, and then you're using that one. So I definitely go check out that video.
So there are so many options with this compost pile of things you can add. You can put cardboard into the compost pile, tear it up, but then also you're gonna wanna cover it with cardboard, leaves, a tarp to prevent rodents. Now you might think, we don't have a rodent problem. You do, and you will. Ask me how I know.
That's for another video. And if you put the kitchen scraps in the center and put other stuff on top of it, it will eliminate the fly issue, right? So we want to keep flies down. We don't want to make a place that is unpleasant. Now there's another method called trench composting, where this takes a little bit more energy. But if this is the place for my emergency garden, you just dig a trench and then you fill it with all kinds of organic matter, all the stuff that we talked about. And then you're going to put that dirt back on top, and you just leave it alone and let nature do its work. And then when you need it, that soil will be very fertile and will be able to grow a lot of food for you. There's a few other things that you can do. You can just pile leaves and let them turn into leaf mold. And that is fantastic. If you've ever watched them break down, that's amazing. Or you could just spread those grass clippings on a bare spot of your yard and just keep putting them on there and let them break down.
We have had great experiences and success with just leaves, just grass clippings.
Our message in all of this soil is that you need to start now, because if you are trying to grow in some hard, unworked soil that has little organic matter, it's going to be really hard to be successful.
And it'll get frustrating and you'll want to give up.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Stop throwing anything organic away and just put it in your compost pile.
So we just talked about soil, and soil is so essential to growing your own food. But you could have all the soil in the world and you're never going to get food out of it unless you have the seeds. Having seeds on hand is so important and essential to growing your own food. So now we're going to go into the timeline of just how quickly you can grow some things and how long it takes to grow others. And we're starting with something I'm excited to learn more about from all of the wisdom here, because I've never done this before, but it is fascinating.
It is actually so easy. So we're going to talk a little bit about sprouts. I have an entire video on that. I will link it. But all you do for this entire jar is you take 1 tablespoon of sprouts and you stick it in the jar. You let it sit overnight. And then if you notice the jar, it has holes. This is just a little cap, a plastic one that we bought at Walmart, and John drilled holes in it. That's how easy this is. That's all you really need. Is the wide mouth jars are much easier in my personal opinion, but you can buy like the metal ones or plastic ones that are already done. Once this is set for the 12 to 24 hours, you can let it do 24 hours, but you're going to rinse it 2 or 3 times a day. But you want it always to be on its side, draining that way, because if it can't keep that water in it. But it only takes 3 days to grow some, between 3 and 7, and you can have sprouts and can be eating salads. And There's a huge amount of different kinds of seeds that you can use. You can even use some of the things that you've stored, like lentils or wheat, all kinds of things like that.
So things that people likely already have in their long-term food storage?
Some of the beans don't taste as well sprouted, I think, personally. But garbanzo beans and mung beans are both really good sprouted. You can sprout different grains like quinoa or wheat and barley. Pearl barley doesn't sprout really well. But there's just so many things. Peas sprout really well and they taste really good. One of the other things that sprouts really yummy is sunflower seeds. But one of the big problems is you have to have a ton of seeds to do this. It might only take a tablespoon, but that's just filling this jar. The other thing that we can do is we can grow microgreens. That is more 7 to 21 day, because with the sprouts, you're just eating the little tiny sprout. With microgreens, you're actually growing it. It can be grown in several different mediums. It can be grown right here. I have a little mat, but it's not sustainable. You can only grow in it once. You can grow in soil. You can actually grow in water. There's some different techniques that you can use to do that, but it's 7 to 21 days and you're eating the little plant, and it just takes a huge amount of seeds. So you might not want to be doing that if seeds are precious. If you have plenty of seeds, it's not a big deal. It's really easy to grow a lot of food in a short period of time. One of the things that makes both of these really valuable is how fast you can produce food, and that you can do it indoors, in a windowsill. And well, the sprouts, you don't even have to have light in order to do that. But the microgreens, you do need to have some light at a certain point. So it makes it super easy.
And so fast.
So fast.
Like, I was shocked to learn how fast you can start eating food that you are growing. Okay, let's move on to the 30-day growing period. Now, I was shocked about the sprouts and the microgreens. When I think of growing food fast, I'm usually going straight to that 30-day mark, and I'm thinking things like radishes, lettuce, spinach. Now, you're not going to get like a full-grown lettuce leaf or spinach leaf. We're talking baby greens. Like, sometimes the salad mixes you buy have all the little pieces of everything, those kind of baby greens, but you could be eating a salad in 30 days.
In 30 days. This is purslane, and it's not looking super happy right now because this isn't the time of year for the purslane. It's all going to seed, but purslane, it can grow crazy in your yard just as a weed, and yet it's really nutritious and it's really good. And this is one of the things that can help bridge that gap. So if you have purslane growing in your yard, stop pulling it out, because you might need to eat it in an emergency, and it doesn't taste bad.
Okay, so now at 45 days, we're gonna get into more of these full-sized leafy greens and some baby carrots and beets.
They're so cute. Okay, now with these, you might be surprised. So when we seed our beets, we do it really heavy because John loves the beet greens. And so when they're about this size, we go through and we pull them out, and we, just like this, and we put them in a pan and we steam them and eat them just like this. And they are absolutely delicious. Your little baby carrots at this stage, they're pretty baby. You can eat the tops, but they're more like a parsley kind of flavor. So you wouldn't eat a ton of them at once. But at this stage, you've definitely got all of your great greens. And so you've got salads, right? You've got stir fries now. You've just really expanded what you can eat, and it's only been 45 days.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Also, around that 45-day mark, we're getting into our first protein, and that is peas. You're not going to have fully mature peas quite at 45 days. That's closer to 50, but you can start eating them.
And peas are delicious. And quite frankly, even before that 45 days, if you're really hungry, the entire pea plant is edible. So you can pinch off, some of the little branches on there, chop them up, put them in a stir fry, or eat them in a salad, and that will help with that hunger gap. I think they taste really good. I like the flavor of peas.
Or it will just help with you being tired of the rice and beans. At 60 days, we're getting into more crops like bush beans, zucchini, cucumbers. Our carrots and our beets have gotten a lot bigger.
At this point, we really can feed ourselves, and we're starting to harvest a few of those storage crops. Like, we're getting our baby potatoes and things like that out. We've got our onions, which make the beans and rice taste so much better. And I should go back a little bit, because I mean, chives are perennial and you kind of need to already grow them, but some of the green onions and the tops to maybe the garlic that you've planted, you can be harvesting some of those and putting them in your beans and rice to make them taste better a little bit earlier.
And along with all these new things that came in at 60 days, you're still getting the things like your greens and the other root crops and things we've already talked about. Those things continue to produce. Okay, 90 days, we are hitting full production and things are getting really exciting. We're talking tomatoes, peppers, pumpkins, corn. You are eating really well at this point.
And now you're able to produce a lot of those storage crops, and you're thinking about, okay, like the winter squash, this is something that can take me through the winter when production goes down. Or the dry beans. Dry beans are a great thing. Let them dry on the plant, and then you can shell them, and they'll last. But you don't really need beans because you've already stored beans, haven't you? But there's all kinds of different ways to preserve these, and that's one of the things that Amanda and I do on the channel a lot is, we show how to make the salsa or how to dry or how to freeze dry. We're really into everything that we can do to live as much off of our garden all year long as possible. And it is so possible.
We're not just focusing on how to grow your food. We're focusing on how to store it, preserve it, and how to eat it.
How to eat it, how to make it taste good. Yes. Believe me, we can take this and make it into some amazing gourmet meals. But it's taken a lot of practice and a lot of experimenting to get to that point.
And to be quite honest, I know I still mess up all the time.
That's okay, we just do. So for us, none of this could happen without soil. So the first thing we need to do is, even if you're not gardening, even if you have no desire to garden right now, you've got to start taking those leaves or those grass clippings or whatever and start building a place that has soil. The next thing we need to do is buy seeds. If your plan, say you're in an apartment and your plan is just to use the sprouts and the microgreens and maybe grow something in your window, plan for that now, because that takes a lot more seeds.
And when you're buying seeds, don't buy just any seeds. Yeah. Now, we each have a few of our favorite crops that come from a hybrid seed that we just keep buying the seeds because we like those things. And a hybrid seed is one that you can't save the seeds from, because if you regrow those seeds, it's not going to be the same thing.
Yeah, it's not true to the parent. Mm-hmm. And some things that matters and some it doesn't. Like the tomato, you're still going to get a tomato. Yes. But one of the things that I found where it does matter is one time I bought this big, gorgeous pumpkin, and I'm like, I'm going to save the seeds. Well, the next year I just got gourds, and the gourds weren't really edible.
And even like with a hybrid pepper seed, maybe it was a sweet pepper, and the next year you would get spicy. And maybe you don't like that very much. Buy heirloom seeds if you are interested in saving seeds so that you can have what you grow from those seeds the next year be true to the parent. So we're talking tomatoes, peppers. You can even save seeds from flowers.
And it's so much easier than what you might think. We did an interview with Joseph Lofthouse on promiscuous pollination. I learned so much from him because he talks about how when you save your own seeds, that next generation is better acclimated to your climate and your area, and you're only saving the seeds from the best fruits, right? So year after year, you actually get fruits that taste better, right? That grow better in your garden, that are more productive because you are saving those seeds. So I would highly encourage you to save seeds.
Not all of your seeds have to be, let's say, purposely saved. What I love that Kylene does in her garden is she lets all of her greens go to seed. And you walk around and you'll see little baby lettuce all over the place. I was walking up here today, walked up the driveway and noticed in her front yard, just right along the driveway, she has all these little baby lettuces. She didn't plant those.
And I don't plant lettuce anymore, actually any lettuce, because I just let it go to seed. Mm-hmm. I'll shake those seeds out. But the interesting thing is the lettuce will start growing in my garden like weeks before I would have planted it. And it is healthy, and so I get an earlier crop. It is beautiful. And so that's one of the blessings of doing that. But if you're doing an emergency garden, you haven't been doing that, the best thing that you could do is to garden now. But the next best thing is to prepare that soil and be ready to garden.
Yes. Now, with your gardening, we don't plant all the seeds right at once, because then sometimes we kind of get all the food right at once. That's what I've run into with my sunflowers this year. I had them all at once, now I have none. So we have to do what's called succession planting.
And you just want to be planting every couple weeks.
So things you would want to succession plant are like your bush beans.
Yes.
Things you don't want to succession plant are tomatoes and peppers. These take a long time to mature, and if you try to do succession plantings, you're not going to get as much.
Because we're growing the rest of this for the variety of nutrients that you can get. See this beautiful rainbow of colors? You can stay so healthy by having your stored foods that are high in that calories and then supplementing with all of this beautiful food.
You're not only going to be healthier, you're going to be happier.
It's going to taste so much better.
Yes. And you know, we've got to do a reality check. You're going to make mistakes, especially if you're new to this. We still make mistakes, and we've been doing it. I've been doing it a while. She's been doing it a really long time.
Did she just call me a dinosaur? I think I feel like a dinosaur.
Anyway, before I get myself in trouble, plants are going to die. You're going to have pests come in and destroy things. Bad weather, especially if you get a late frost or an early frost. I mean, these are things that every experienced gardener has had to deal with, and it's just part of the process and not a reason to give up. Actually, there is no reason to give up.
Don't give up.
No,
ever.
Never.
Ever, ever, ever. So go and start working on building your soil. If you're already gardening, yes, just go and subscribe to the Provident Gardener and let's work together and enjoy all the fun things about growing food together. So if you're just new to gardening and don't really know what seeds you need and you're not planning on doing this, you're just buying seeds, this kit is fabulous. There's like 100 seed packets and I think it's about $100. We have a promo code and I'll leave it in the link in the description where you can save money on this. But then they also have these.
And these are smaller packets, 50 and 30 seed packets, but you're still getting a large variety of seeds, even in these smaller ones.
And don't think that seeds last forever. Some seeds last a lot longer than other seeds, but like onion seeds tend to be very fragile and they only last for a few years. And so you've got to make sure that if you're not going to be gardening, that you go ahead and you buy new seed vaults so that you have them.
And any seeds that you are planning to buy to store to have on hand, it is important to keep them in a cool, dry, dark place. That will help that life of the seed last longer.
And another little tidbit, if you've been storing things like wheat in your food storage, a lot of times those will sprout. We did an experiment with wheat that was all kinds of different ages and stored all different ways. And the best way was actually in the number 10 can with the oxygen absorber. I can't remember how many years, but it was like 25 years old or something, and it still sprouted.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. So there are things in your food storage that you can go ahead and grow if we're working on the crisis garden. And we want to be fed, right? We want to take care of each other. Make sure if you have a neighbor or a friend like us who loves to garden, reach out to us because we love to talk gardening.
We love to share. We love to talk. Maybe approach with caution if you don't have a lot of time to listen. And don't forget, head over to the Provident Gardener right now and subscribe to join us in our growing journey as we are learning and progressing and growing food for our families and encouraging you to do the same.
Thank you for joining us today. If grocery stores close tomorrow, how would you grow food for your family? Give us what your tips and tricks are in the comments, and let's all learn from each other. And thanks for being part of the solution.